have you been concerned that lack of sleep is affecting your appearance? Perhaps you worried about dark circles under the eyes or puffy eyelids, or perhaps you worried about fine lines on your skin, or that your skin tone isn't what it used to be. Or maybe you've been concerned about you overall looking tired or unwell. If anything of the above resonates, you have come to the right video, where we will discuss appearance insomnia, how to meet it, including a brand new realization that I hope will set you on a path of leaving the struggle and sleeping peacefully for the rest of your life. Hi there, and welcome to this updated class on appearance insomnia. I really wanted to do this for several reasons. One was that the two other videos where we talked about appearance insomnia, I think had like there were different points made in two of them. So here we kind of like some are like, we take the best of them, including like all the pondering that we've done over the years, and kind of have it all in one place, plus a brand new insight that is one of those like where you're like, after the fact, you're like, how could I have not have seen this before? But it's really helpful, I think, in the context of appearance insomnia and leaving the struggle. So I'm very glad that you're here. And let's actually look at the outline for this class first. We're gonna understand the loop itself, why appearance insomnia can be this self-reinforcing cycle. Understanding that is the foundation for leaving the cycle. And then we're going to challenge this loop, or challenge this cycle with several specific items are going to help us do that. And then thirdly, we're going to see how we can leave the loop. And there is a little bit of a plot twist there. We can see that we can leave this loop whether we challenge the cycle or not. And we'll get to that, of course, towards the end of the talk. So let's get cracking. But first of all, actually, an exciting announcement here. The Festival of Understanding is now available for free. You just have to head over to thesleepcodeschool.com and click the link at the very tippy top. And for those who don't know, the Festival of Understanding was this like 5-day event that I hosted. Must have been like 6 months ago or something like that now. And that was similar to how this episode on the appearance insomnia is kind of like a culmination of years of pondering and thinking about this particular struggle. The Festival of Understanding was like years of pondering and thinking condensed into these like 5 classes with Q&As. And I think that there's so much value in that Festival of Understanding. So like I highly recommend you to check it out if you haven't already done so, or if you weren't one of those who attended. But even if you attended, like, it could be nice to check it out again. But with that said, yeah, let's head over to today's topic, which is appearance insomnia, and let us understand the appearance insomnia loop. Many of us are very familiar with the story of beauty sleep, or the concept of beauty sleep. I don't know where that specific expression beauty sleep comes from, but what we know is that supposedly we will look really well, we will look refreshed, we will look beautiful, our skin will be glowing if we sleep well. That is what we're told, in culture. It's this like imperceptible, like it's this like invisible ideas that are just like floating around in culture. One of them is beauty sleep. Where does it come from? I don't really know, but we constantly told this. And the tricky thing here, of course, is that this story around beauty sleep, it creates pressure to sleep. When we think, oh, to look beautiful, I have to sleep well, I have to sleep a certain amount of time, that can make us pressured to sleep. And pressure to sleep is where sleep struggles come from. If you think about anyone who sleeps really well, they can prove this. You can be like, how do you sleep so well? And they go like, I don't know. And that shows that this person is not doing anything to sleep. They're not feeling pressure to sleep. Sleep is just this passive, effortless thing that just happens easily. But when we're pressured to sleep, something very different happens. Like if somebody would tell you, like, you got to go to sleep within 5 minutes, sleep now. You got to sleep now. Then you can see like that's not going to lead you to sleep, because you're going to feel this energy, this pressure, this tension, this friction within you that's not going to allow you to sleep well. So the more pressured we are to sleep, the less easily we sleep, the less well we sleep. So the loop really looks like this. We hear that we have to sleep a certain amount or sleep really well to look well, and then we feel pressured and we have sleep struggles. And here's the loop. So if those sleep struggles then lead to concerns about our appearance, then those concerns about our appearance leads to even more pressure to sleep, which leads to sleep struggles, which leads to concern about our appearance. And this is the appearance insomnia loop. Again, we are worried about our appearance. That makes us pressure to sleep. Because of that, we don't sleep well. And then we think, oh no, I didn't sleep well. Now this is really going to affect my appearance. Then we're pressured to sleep, and then we sleep less well, etc., etc., etc. And this is why appearance insomnia can become this self-sustaining, automatic loop that we can be in for long periods of time. So this is the appearance insomnia loop. Now, before we go to section 2 here, there's something I really want to add. Please note here. Very often when we've had students, clients, followers who have been concerned about their appearance, there's often been this element of like blaming themselves for even being concerned about this. A lot of times students say like, I know it's superficial, I know it's vain, I know there are a lot of people who have much greater concerns, I know I shouldn't be worried about my appearance, it's such a superficial thing, but I am worried about my appearance. And this is tricky, because if we're critical of ourselves that way, if we think like, this is not even valid, why am I worried about this? That adds another layer of struggle, which is like that self-criticism and the judgment we have towards ourselves. When in reality, we all care about our appearance, right? We're all part of the human tribes. We all want to be members of that human tribe, right? So none of us will say like, I don't care at all what I look like. That's not true. We all care about our looks. So please don't think of yourself as like vain or superficial. We all care about our appearance. Like, that's just a normal human thing. And when we take like self-criticism out of the loop and we replace it with self-kindness, that helps more than anything else. Because again, like this self-criticism becomes another aspect of this loop. It's like we're pressured to sleep, and then we're like, oh no, and then we go like, oh no, I didn't sleep well, this is going to affect my appearance. And then we go like, oh no, but I shouldn't be thinking of that. Why am I thinking about that? We're beating ourselves up even more. Like, just adds like even more struggle to in a place where we're already not feeling well and not feeling like ourselves, etc. So again, invitation for self-kindness here. Now we have understood the appearance insomnia loop. Now what we want to do is kind of like see if we can maybe poke holes in the ideas behind this loop, like kind of challenge it, like see if we can find other viewpoints, other perspectives that are more helpful for us than kind of the loop that we just described. So we are going to challenge the loop. And why we do that, of course, is that the less pressure we feel to sleep, the easier we sleep. That's a fundamental truth in our teachings. And here, this is funny, I'm smiling here because I said when I prepared this talk, I wrote 4 ways you can be less pressured, but in fact, it ended up being 3. So I'm just going to correct this in real time. 3. Okay, so, okay, there. I did it, but I had a typo in there, which is a little bit annoying. So here we go. 3 ways you can be less pressured. And they're going to be A, B, C. And we're just going to start with A here, which is challenging the beauty sleep story. So the story again is that we have to sleep really well to look well, look refreshed, look beautiful, etc. And that is challenged actually quite easily by stories. And some of them are right here on our channel. For example, Talking Insomnia with Batul, Talking Insomnia with Beth, Talking Insomnia with Christian. And you can find these simply by searching Talking Insomnia and then enter the name. Batul, for example, had like years of sleep struggles, and she was never ever told that she looked anything but great, right? Beth tells us the story of how when she had the most struggle with sleep, she often got compliments. And Christian told the same thing. Oftentimes when he slept really, really poorly, people would be like, you look great. And people knew that he had sleep struggles. People were like, you look great. Your sleep struggles must be improving, right? And maybe you can find this in your own life. Maybe you can find times where you've had a really rough night and nobody has said anything about how you look, or people have even complimented you on your look. And all of this is like anecdotal. These are just like stories. They're powerful because they're lived experiences. They're real, they're real examples of when the beauty sleep illusion, fallacy, myth clearly isn't true, right? And this can be really helpful when you see like we don't need to sleep a certain amount or sleep well to look refreshed and look well. That takes the pressure down. Is really helpful. So that was A, kind of challenging the beauty sleep story is A here. And then B is challenging people's observations. And this is particularly apropos, in lack of a better word, when we are concerned about looking like tired or unwell or unhealthy. We just talked about how often people compliment us when we had a night where we slept little. But if you had the experience that people tell you like, "Oh, you look tired," or how are things going, and things of that nature, keep this in mind, that our affect is mirrored in our appearance. Essentially, how we feel, our emotional landscape is mirrored in what we like project into the world with our facial expressions, our body language, like our posture, and all of this. In other words, if we are feeling sad or scared, that can come across as us looking tired or unrested or unhealthy, right? Similarly, if we are excited, we're happy, we're exuding this energy, then that can appear as us being energized or rested. And this was Coach Richard who pointed this out to me. I remember it very well. It was in a class where I was like, yeah, that's so true. When we're like, if we're like looking down, our shoulders are drooping, we're kind of like really sad, right? We look tired. And so when we see this, we can be like, it is not little sleep that makes me look tired. It's the story about that little sleep. If you slept little and we're like, oh no, I'm never going to get better, this is going to be for the rest of my life, then those thoughts are going to lead us to feel sad, and that can make us appear tired. And why that's helpful, of course, is that then the pressure to sleep again fades away. Then we're not going to be like, oh, I need to sleep more so I look refreshed or healthy. We're going to be like, oh, how much I sleep isn't what matters here. It's how I think about things. And that already has led us to think in a different way, which leads towards a place where we may sleep little, but we're like, that doesn't mean anything. It just a choppy night of sleep. I was just a little anxious. That's all. There's no story behind it. And then we're no longer going to appear tired or appear unhealthy. So that was be there, challenging people's observations. And now we're getting to like the one that I hadn't seen before, at least not in this way. And this is challenging your own observations. In the previous classes on appearance insomnia, we have talked about how you may, if you're kind of looking for things like the dark circles, something else, you might find things that you wouldn't even have taken note of before. But what I didn't realize is that there's an entire like psychological, not framework necessarily, but there's a concept, a very, very well established psychological concept called confirmation bias. And that fits perfectly in our teachings here around leaving appearance insomnia. So what is confirmation bias? Well, this is like ChatGPT defining it for us. Confirmation bias is the tendency to favor, seek out, or interpret information in a way that confirms one's pre-existing beliefs or expectations while overlooking or dismissing contradictory evidence. In other words, for some reason, we have this belief that if I don't sleep enough, my eyelids will look puffy, I will have dark circles under my eyes. And then we seek out evidence that supports this belief. We're actively, in the mirror being like, inspecting our skin, like, is there anything new? Is there anything that's different? Is there anything that's alarming here? Oh, yes, that spot wasn't there yesterday. Oh, yeah, this is it. This is evidence. Now I have evidence that little sleep is affecting my appearance. While in reality, This is simply confirmation bias. We find what we're looking for. If we seek out evidence of like dark circles under our eyes or fine lines or wrinkles or a poor tone or anything like that, we are likely to find it. Confirmation bias is what this is called. And feel free, of course, to continue this, like learn more about confirmation bias, learn why we have it, why it's prevalent, and anything that leads us to understand ourselves and our own behaviors is really, really helpful. So with C there, we have seen how we can challenge the idea of beauty sleep. We can challenge other people's observations, and we can challenge our own observations. And this can all lead to a place where we see like, oh, there is no evidence whatsoever that little sleep affects our appearance. And that can really, really lower the pressure to sleep. And that's, of course, really, really helpful, which leads us to number 3 here, leaving the loop. And here we're going to see that although I've so far kind of emphasized how we can see that it is not true that how we appear is predicated upon how much we sleep, we're going to see in sort of this plot twist here how it actually doesn't matter what conclusion we come to when we have challenged our thoughts on how we look in regards to how we sleep. So leaving the loop. So but we'll start first with you having done these challenges and you've seen that, okay, there is no evidence actually that sleep affects my appearance. If you challenge the loop and the pressure fades away, you are leaving appearance insomnia, and that's wonderful. And that is all thanks to your courage to look at things in a new way, and you taking this inner journey and really looking inside and looking at your own ideas, thoughts, and beliefs. That's wonderful. Now, what if you've listened to this and you've pondered it and you've honestly, considered everything, but your conclusion remains that how much I sleep, it does affect my appearance. Let's say you come to that conclusion. So if you challenge the loop, but you don't find any evidence that counters sleep impacting your appearance, that's actually totally fine. Paradoxically, it may appear, based on what I've said so far, it's totally fine. If we assume it's true, if we assume that it's true that if we don't sleep enough, that will impact our appearance, then, and we know that this is what's making us pressure, that makes us have this struggle with sleep, then how can we lower the pressure? Again, so the question here is like, if we assume that it's true that little sleep impacts our appearance and that makes us pressured, how can we lower the pressure? Well, we lower the pressure by just accepting this, by being like, okay, if I sleep less, that is going to impact my appearance. I'm not going to look the way I want to, but I'm still going to be a loved and cherished and valuable member of, the human tribe. Even if we don't look exactly like we want to, that's totally fine. People are going to love us. At least the people who matter to us, like people who we want to have as friends and co-workers and members of our own tribe. If they don't want to associate with us because we don't look perfect, then we probably don't want to associate with them, right? So for our intents and purposes, it actually doesn't matter if we don't look exactly as we wished we would have looked like. We're still, a valuable, loved, and cherished member of the human tribe, regardless of how we look. And again, like what we want to remember here is that anything we do to like try to achieve sleep and get more sleep, it leads to more pressure. So if we have concluded that no, little sleep does impact my appearance, it actually also will lead us to a place where we don't go like, oh, well, that means that I have to fight harder to get more sleep. We see that just leads to more struggle, right? And if anything, that leads to more sleepless nights. And if anything, if we believe sleep impacting our appearance, that's going to lead to more impact on our appearance, right? On the opposite side, if you go like, oh yeah, sleep does impact my appearance, and I'm going to accept that, I'm going to be okay with however I look, that's going to lead to less pressure to sleep and more sleep, peaceful sleep nights, and everything's going to get easier for us. So in conclusion here, whether it is seeing that beauty sleep isn't true or accepting that we won't always look like we want to look, either/both lead us to that place of less pressure easier sleep, peace of mind, and everything else that we wanted to, like, feeling like ourselves, feeling like there's nothing wrong with us, etc. So I hope this class on appearance insomnia brought a lot of value your way. I know lately I haven't answered comments and been active in moderating, but there's still the kids are still not back in school, and things are, we're still sort of in like summer/vacation mode, but soon enough I'll be back answering comments. But that doesn't mean I'm not reading them. So, and that doesn't mean like the community doesn't answer. So please, of course, feel free to leave any thoughts, question, comments in the comment section. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. Hi, it's me, Daniel, and I hope you found a ton of value in the video that you just watched. But do know that we have more than our free content that can really help you leave insomnia land and arrive at a place of peaceful sleep for the rest of your life. And I know this because I used to work as a sleep doctor, and I was frustrated. I used to see patients in clinic, offer education and support, and then I have my patient follow up in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks at best. But I knew that in between our visits, my patients had no support, no guidance, and no help. So I wanted to create something entirely different from that. And this is what went into the Insomnia Immunity program and BedTyme. In both programs, there is a curated curriculum that gives you education in a step-by-step fashion. And there's also a coach that can answer your questions on an ongoing basis. And this was exactly what I wish I had when I was a sleep doctor. And now it's available for you. You can explore more on our website, thesleepcoachschool.com. And if you decide to join, then we can't wait to see you on the other side.